I'm Matt Baker. I'm an artist and one of the people who works at the Stove. My job title is orchestrator, and I guess mostly what I'm involved in is the sort of direction of travel of the organisation, relationships that we have with the people that we work with and are wanting to work with.
I'm Catherine Wheeler. I work here at the Stove in project development. It means that I work with funders and local, regional, national and actually international partners thinking about how we shape the work that we do together in a way that's meaningful and going to have impact for our community here in Dumfries.
My name is Martin O'Neill. I'm the Artistic Director of the Stove Network in Dumfries. My role within what we do now is the sort of creative direction of that, including the concept and artist support.
Culture Collective came along through, really, it was kind of like inspired by COVID. It was a really important development in Scotland and quite a unique development, which was a very simple idea of, right, there's a pandemic which is impacting a lot of communities. One of the groups that was impacted by the pandemic was the creative freelancers who lost a lot of their work. Could there be a way that we could support creative freelancers to work in community settings to create positive benefit for those communities and at the same time provide work for the freelancers?
The Culture Collective is a national programme and there are 26 projects across Scotland. What we do now is the project in Dumfries and Galloway. If you think of what we do now as our little microcosm, little environment in Dumfries and Galloway, the Culture Collective is an opportunity to go, what does that look like across Scotland?
The sort of concept essentially remained to be all about placing creativity in the hands of communities, and with that it be an experiment in the role of creative placemaking more broadly.
So the idea was like, how do we co-create with another place? And that was the idea behind what we do now. And so in a ridiculously ambitious way, we thought, well, let's try and do that in 5 different places simultaneously and see if we can build a little network there.
We have Stranraer, Sanquhar, Castle Douglas, Langham and North West Dumfries. Those are the places. And the place hubs for this are Stranraer Millennium Centre, Castle Douglas Development Forum, Lift at Lochside as Families Together, Airy Arts in Sanquhar and Outpost Arts in Langham.
In Langham, we worked with Outpost Arts, with place lead there, Lucy MacLeod.
We're based in Langham, which is, although it's called the Muckle Toon, and it very much has a long, rich history and a long history of manufacturing, textiles, it is a pretty remote and rural location. Langham's location has led to a really interesting kind of mix of cultures, actually. There's an interesting mix of people, of accents, of industry, because we're so connected to kind of other regions as well, which is really interesting and quite unique, actually. There's a resilience in the people in the communities that live here because they're fairly self-sufficient because of their rurality. They're very bound together. It's a very close-knit community, but I would say it's very welcoming as well. We also have an amazing landscape. You know, our nature here is second to none.
We worked with Jim Buchanan and Sean Yeshi. In Northwest Dumfries, we had Lift, Lochside is Families Together, with Angie, who's the main sort of place lead for that place, as well as her wider team.
Lift D&G started in 2016 as Lochside's Families Together. We were in the paper as being the most deprived area in Dumfries. I think we're like top 3% in Scotland. And it kind of miffed me because my kids at the time were wee yins growing up, and I didn't want people looking down at them because they came from this underprivileged, deprived area that was run down and nobody ever wanted to attend. So I decided that I was going to make my community better for my children and everybody else's. So we formed a wee group. It ended up snowballing into something huge. The one thing I absolutely love about Lochside is everybody rallies round and helps each other. And folk, like I said, think this bit's bad, but it actually isn't. It's probably one of the best bits that you could stay. But it is, it's a great community, absolutely brilliant community.
In Northwest Dumfries, we had Alice and Rosie working with Andy Brooke. In Sanker, we are working with Yvonne. She's the project manager for all the airts.
The community here are a very warm community in that they come together for events, they support each other. An example of that would be last week or the week before, we had a Macmillan coffee morning and all the local women in the community baked for that, and we raised about £1,300. And that was organised by one of the women in our patchwork group who does that every year, and we offer the centre as a hub for that to happen in. The community here also has a proud heritage of the Sanker knitwear, so that's something that we produce and make here in the shop and sell. Our project is not only an art centre, but we also train people to knit Sanker gloves, which is from the 1700s, so it's quite an old thing that's been passed on through the generations, and we're trying to keep the heritage alive of that.
Yvonne and all the airts has been working with Jack as their emerging artist, and Saskia and Colin, who are photographers, as their established artists. In Douglas, we were working with the development forum there with Carolyn Yates as place lead.
I think one of the things, like any town, it isn't one kind of community. It's a lot of overlapping groups of community interest. Although we're a white monoculture, within that we have a lot of diversity. I mean, we have Better Lives here based in Castle Douglas, which supports and helps young people with autism and ADHD type disorders. We have an older generation who are very generous with their volunteer time. We have families and people who work who won't spend the day in the town, but who come back in and mingle. In a bigger city, and I've lived in bigger cities, you don't get to know all those wee groups in the same way you do in a small town. So even if they're not your centre of interest, you will know about them. It's still a place that's slightly out of time. It's got a traditional market town feel, which is unusual. There's a sort of continual gentle change goes on, which keeps it interesting.
Working with two artists, Martin Danziger and Kira Manson. We've been working with Stranraer Millennium Centre. Alan was our main place lead at the beginning of the project.
Stranraer is, I suppose, like any other town or village or cities or that, made up by the characters in it and the people in it. I've been involved in a number of events in Stranraer. The one proud thing that I take away from it is you ever get feedback from people out with Stranraer, they're always quick to praise that they're welcome. Stranraer's just a working class town, but with people who are proud of their town, people who can see areas for improvement within the town, because there's been areas of neglect within the town. And I think the people of Stranraer really come together if they feel as though they're being listened to, and they feel as though they've been involved in the process of achieving a goal, which is for the betterment of the people, for the betterment of the town. It is really focusing on the tourism aspect now, and really focusing on how we attract people to Stranraer. First and foremost, how do we attract people? We need to have a town that we're proud of. And for us to be proud of something, we need to feel involved in it. I think, as I say, the Stranraer people are keen to lend their voice and support on anything that's going to better the town.
We've been working with Hope London as the established artist and Rooney Laycock as the emerging artist.
I'm Rosie and I'm working as part of what we do now in Lochside and Dumfries with Alice and Andy. Our project is called Living in Flats Together, LIFT. We're at our studio in Auchencairn at Standing Stone, and we've been having a bit of a kind of working session day, bouncing ideas around and a bit of making, which has been really nice, like getting our hands involved. Just kind of working out what the next stages of the project are. So we're organising a little event outside the flats, which we're hoping to have like just a little fire, just kind of low-key event for folk residents from the flats. And we're going to have some baked potatoes that we're going to cook in the fire, and just more like just creating a kind of cosy opportunity for people from the flats to come out and meet us and actually have a bit of face-to-face kind of conversation, and use it as an opportunity to ask people from the flats about their experiences of living there. We've also been painting some banners, which is going to say "No one belongs here more than you," and it's going to potentially go along the bottom of one of the flats, along the kind of fencing. It's kind of like we've been building the foundations of the project, which is maybe like, it's quite a slow process, but I feel like it's worth doing it really well.
In Sanker, artists Colin Tennant and Saskia Coulson have been using their skills as filmmakers and photographers to engage young people within the town.
I'm Colin Tennant, one of the artists as part of the What We Do Now project based in Sanker at All the Erts, and that's where we are at the moment. And today I've just finished running a drone workshop. It's the October holidays, and myself and my partner and wife Saskia, as the established artists, have set up a series of workshops during the October holidays for young people between the age of 13 to 18. And Jack, who is the emerging artist, is also doing the same thing. He's got a series of workshops also. What we've been trying to do for the last month or so is start the engagement process. One of the big things that All the Arts is looking for us to do is to try and engage a younger audience, to try and get a younger audience coming into the building, taking part in some of the activities that are here, and generally trying to encourage them to participate in some of the creative opportunities that All the Arts provides. We've done that by setting up a series of workshops, and tomorrow we have a workshop on photography, and the day after we have a workshop on filmmaking, and the day after that there's a workshop in theatre and drama. So yeah, that's what we've been doing today.
In Stranraer, what was identified since losing the ferryport terminal, which was very much central to its identity, there was a sort of searching question which framed the themes of identity and vision, and potentially artists to come in there, work with Stranraer Millennium Centre and explore that topic broadly.
My name's Rooney Laycock. Right now we're in Stranraer and I'm the emerging artist with the project.
I'm Hope London, and I'm meant to be the established artist, and it's great to be part of the What We Do Now project, because it is true to say that what we do now can and will influence what occurs in the future. What we've discovered so far here, one of the many things, every single person we talk to, am I right?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Pretty much the same thing. The George Hotel, or just the George. Do something about it. And there's hardly anything left of it. It's just a facade now. But we could use that facade and make it a symbol of what could happen in the future, and a useful one. Not just symbolic. I mean, its resurrection would be symbolic of what could happen. And despite the magnificent efforts that people in this town have been putting into regenerating the town, you still were faced with this sad decrepitude of key buildings that used to be the heart and soul and pride of the town.
We have been at a stage of gathering recordings, and we've been facilitating doing workshops. To have these kind of first-hand responses really starts the journey of what we're going to be leading towards for the final work, and the developing projects along the way, and it's been really great.
Despite the state of many of the buildings, I think it still has wonderful built environment that can be improved and made beyond what it was in its heyday. It can serve the present and the future of this town very well. And that's because it has so much character.
I'm Lucy from Outpost Arts. We're a local arts organisation who were founded to create opportunities for local people to access creativity more easily in rural communities.
I'm Sean, and I am the emerging artist as part of the What We Do Now project in Langham, and I'm working alongside Lucy with that, and Jim.
I'm Jim Buchanan, and I'm an artist based in Dumfries, specialising in play, outdoor installations, landscape architecture, and other mediums.
Outpost Arts identified that young people didn't really have that much voice, and when I say young people, I mean people under the age of kind of 50. I think that's where the theme for our project really grew from, was, what was the situation in Langham, and we're really lucky to have two artists who have got really different skill sets and different experiences, so that we can tackle that issue in two very different ways.
Early on, what was identified within the project was the need for a space for young people to come to feel that it was theirs, to feel a sense of ownership, and to be creative within that space. Shan, Outpost Arts and Jim rented a space within the town through the Langham Initiative to engage with young people, and also broadly with the wider community as well. It became that use of space, which is really actually proven to be very valuable across the region. Across each project is the need for space for artists to create, and for people to feel that sense of ownership and that they're welcome.
So today we've been basically getting ready for an event here tomorrow, which is when the residents of Lockside, Dunlop Road where we're working, are going to come and hopefully talk about what they'd like to see from us and from what we can offer them.
We've worked pretty hard going door to door and putting up posters and trying to attract people. And at the same time, DGHP, the housing providers, have been putting black and white letters through doors, asking people to come, they can also come and kind of voice concerns or complain or whatever, talk to their housing officers. But we felt like we needed to do a more colourful, personal kind of approach to get people here.
So this is kind of our chance to show DGHP that there are people in the community that will be interested in the idea of a community art space. There's been like lots of enthusiasm from people. There's been people that don't really know how to respond. Some people have invited us into their flats, shown us their flats, shown us their own art projects, so this has been really nice. We've been putting up posters, and on the bottom of one of the posters, someone had written us a note saying like, get shafted, bunch of, what does it say? Bunch of wanker artists.
Crap up your arseholes.
Yeah. You might as well be Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah. And what do you know about the project's called Living in Flats Together? What do you know about? You know nothing about living in flats together.
You know, I love our
What's
flats. We look after each other. Apart from
the dealer.
The dealer, yeah. But so, you know, it was a sort of positive, negative, positive response in a way. It was a definite response, and it was heartfult. Yeah.
And also a really good point. Like, what
Yeah.
do we know about living in flats together?
Yeah.
I've never lived on Dunlop Road.
No.
Like.
No, I guess it made us think, you know, that the perception of us coming in like this is going to be varied.
The cabin as a community art space that we can develop is kind of a stepping stone, like a means to an end. It's a place for people to gather, because at the moment there isn't anywhere, and a place to run workshops, because we think that art can have really tangible, real results in communities that are bigger than the art piece itself, if you see what I mean. But we feel like we need more time.
Definitely.
More than a year, yeah.
Otherwise, we may get to the stage where, because things take so long, that the porta cabin is set up, the community art space is set up, and then we have to leave. And then it might turn into a storeroom. So we'd hope to get more funding, and then maybe a sort of rolling artist residency or something like that.
And there's all kinds of possibilities. Like when you say a porta cabin, it doesn't necessarily sound that exciting, but like there's lots of possibilities. It's kind of a matter of going in and finding what people want.
The colouring books have just arrived.
Is here, Hope? Early Christmas present?
I'm a bit nervous.
So this is our the colouring book which we've just designed, Hope and I. So we're just going to see what they're like.
Oh my gosh!
There they go.
Wow! What do you think, Rory?
Great.
You were worried about the quality of the print, but I
No, that's lovely.
I knew it would be lovely. What could happen here? You know, I had a nightmare last night that they spelled Stranraer wrong.
Oh.
Because I know people are spelling it Stranraer.
Have I spelled it wrong?
No, you spelled it right! We double checked it, but I was having nightmares. Oh, look! So they'll be able to write on this.
Yes.
It's all come out exactly true to color, hasn't it? These are all the buildings and sites that people identified as, shall we say,
The eyesores.
in need of attention.
In need of attention.
In need of attention.
We went to the library, the archive, and we found together images which would represent these particular areas.
When people fill these out, it's a really clear way of collecting people's ideas and feelings. If we're looking at it from a statistical point of view, we'll be able to collate statistics in a way that will bolster an argument for positive change.
Yeah.
And that could be presented even to political entities and others that have the power to make those changes. Much needs to be done. That has been neglected for all kinds of different reasons, because the buildings have different ownership and it's been difficult. I want people to feel free to do absolutely anything.
This is their colouring book.
Yeah.
It's there. We
paste stuff in it, write all over it. Color the buildings the way you'd like them to be colored. Draw people in, draw activities happening. Anything that people want to say.
The act of doing, isn't it? It's changing their environment through colour and drawing and...
I think that's the subtle thing we're suggesting.
Yeah. Super, I'm so happy with it, Hope.
I knew
I am
you would
really
be.
happy, I'm happy
I
with
almost said, you were losing faith at one point.
I was be all concerned with
Yeah.
quality, but that's great.
No, I knew the quality would be good.
I know, I trusted you, Hope. I think it was just one of those things.
I get it. Well, we're going to take it to them. We're going to bring it to them. Great. Ta-da!
Dad, got it done.
Artist Jack Stancliffe. I would describe him as a performance artist. He might describe himself slightly differently. Took a much more conceptual approach in his engagement with the town.
As part of a project, as part of an engagement strand, I am dressing up as a postman because my project or my approach is based around Sanker post office and the situation it finds itself in, facing potential closure within the next year. So, in response to that, I dress up as a postman. I walk a designated route between 2 and 3 o'clock every Thursday and have different interactions, different engagements and conversations around the post office and its potential future. I guess at the moment it's about establishing a routine or a kind of action which repeats. And I think because I'm going to do this over a durational period, furthering what the action is, whether that's asking people to join me, to have conversations, whether that's extending what I physically look like, whether that's adding provocations as I go. So at the moment it's more about establishing this route dressed as the postman. You get a few looks, you get a few like, oh, there's certainly been people noticing that there's an extra postman in the village, just a few comments about it being cold and kind of like light talk kind of things. But hopefully then that grows and develops as the duration of the project continues.
Jack is one of the few artists that was brought in out with the region, so that experiment in drawing new skills or new perspectives, especially from an emerging artist point of view, is both challenging in the role that he then has to take and also vastly interesting in terms of how an artist can interpret a place in such a broad practice.
A slightly different angle into the community is from school workshops that we're doing. I'm doing stained glass with half of our class, about 9 or 10 folk, and then those two are doing more sort of art-based painting, expressive exercises and portraiture with the other half. So they're getting a nice contrasting experience, and hopefully things will sort of build from that and they'll tell their parents, and we'll kind of get a little bit more of an angle into the community that way. And that's positive. It was good for us, or good for me, because it makes me feel I'm doing something now, you know, so that is great, as well as all these other plannings that we're doing and looking to the future.
The emphasis in Stranraer has really been around the spaces of Stranraer. It's a place that has had a really difficult recent history, which has been reflected in the state of some of the buildings.
Right now, we've been shown around by a gentleman, Gavin, from the council. We're situated in the George Hotel, and yeah, just seeing it has been quite amazing, seeing the supports and structure. So visit today is really for Hope and I just to see what's it like inside and get a feeling. You know, with what's going on within the world and COVID and the George Hotel and all these things of maintaining, I think it's very interesting looking at the structure and being aware of the structure. You know, with Hope and I being on this project, I think right now, and being aware of what's maintaining things and being involved in that maintenance is really important. So as I'm looking around, I'm looking at these amazing structures, these girdings, what the council have put in, which is, you know, outstanding kind of technological evolution to make this still, you know, 100 years ago, this would be down. Today, Hope and I just to really get a sense of what's happening here, what's the dialogues, and yeah, get some good documentation also. So yeah, it's been really rewarding.
We were doing quite a lot of work with the academy, and then the third year art teacher came to us and asked us if we wanted to do a block of classes with his art students. So they've been coming during their art class period, which is every Wednesday morning, and we spend about an hour and a half with them. And usually the structure of it is that we talk to them about certain types of tips and techniques in photography that anyone can use. After that, we go out and we go for a photo tour around Sanker. We take photos with them, and then we come back and look at some of their work, and they've produced some incredible photography in the time that we've known them.
One of our themes is connection, and what we're trying to do is connect with the young people of Sanker. What's really interesting is they're now coming from the school to All the Arts, the actual arts centre here, and we're allowed to sort of deliver these photography workshops within this centre. And a big part of the project really is about trying to get young people to start engaging in the centre and see it as a place where they can learn about the creative industries really. So that's been really useful as well, about making that connection with young teenagers in Sanker and the centre here.
And then also just to see them grow as photographers has been really incredible.
Today we're having our first open day at the Chrysalis studio space that we've started running in Langham. We've been open for our set groups for around 2 months now, but this is kind of the first time we're getting the general public through the door. The idea is to kind of say hello to people, touch base with the people that we've already been engaged with within the community, and enable them to come see how we've been working on our project proposal and start the next phase of things basically. Jim is speaking to the community, seeing their ideas, the reflections, what they think will work, what won't work. Kind of just getting a kind of soundboard of the community and having that opportunity to have that. And in the back smaller room, I'm doing research into the historical places people played, so that basically we can figure out where the different generations of Langham have played and whether or not it's along the lines of free play like Jim has been thinking, or kind of the traditional kind of parks and stuff. We're on hour 2 and we've had more than any arts event that we have yet to record in Langham, so we're doing pretty good. Yeah, it's been amazing to have such a good turnout and such a variety of both kids and parents. I think that's what's been really cool. And we also have a couple of my group sat in the back room that are just hanging out, which is nice because they're using the space as it was designed to be used.
Today was the Sanker post box pinata hunt, which means that I've put 10 post box pinatas around Sanker in different locations, which young people might access, which potentially young people won't access and don't. And I have offered the chance to go around and hunt those pinatas and burst them open as, I guess, kind of like a provocation around this engagement of young people and like local history. And also, like, I think that visual image of a young person beating this thing might provoke some response or question this idea of, oh, well, what is their connection anyway to this thing? And within that, I've put little treats, so some first-class stamp books, a card from Grandma with some money in, some junk mail, a really high-energy bill. Whatever you find, you find. I think doing that today, I think it's been a bit of a reflective point in regards to how well this is sitting within the village. Yeah, maybe the question of, as it is quite a disruptive action, how disruptive is too disruptive to a place like Sanker? Which, yeah, leaves me questioning, maybe I have to readjust my approach or idea or direction.
Since seeing the George and the interior of the George, we've been talking to some community groups and also exploring the colouring book and kind of putting it out there into the public and getting people to have a go and play with it. Listening to what people have written down and also what they've been drawing, most importantly. Really deepening our relationships with the town, Stranraer, I think.
Everyone has an opinion. I will tell you that. There is no shortage of opinions here. Yeah. I have tried to absorb the things we saw that day at the George and the kind of social and political landscape that allows conditions like that to develop over time, and to ask myself a lot of difficult questions about what is the role of the artist in all this. Can we actually do anything to spark change? I'm also thinking about the next project that I'm mainly going to be working on, which is going to be what was originally a song for Stranraer and animation, but it's all going to be fused into kind of a music video animation. And I think I will use images from the coloring books where people have dared to make some kind of comment.
There's so much powerful research and opinions which we've gathered. It's about using them. I think, you know, our colouring book is part of the dialogue with the council, and it's being used in that way, which is really fabulous. So
I'd like to take it beyond the council. I would think that it has to go to Scottish government level.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, so many towns like Stranraer throughout the country don't get the attention that the Central Belt gets, or dare I say that Edinburgh gets, even Glasgow doesn't get. And I think it's very important to do that.
In Castle Douglas, artists Martin Danziger and Kira Manson have been exploring the role of circus and the role of play, engaging people within the town, particularly young people.
One of the challenges of Castle Douglas for us has been to try and work out not just what should we do, but where could anything happen if it does happen, and who could it happen with, and to try and work that one out while at the same time being so restricted by COVID has been, you know, so it has made it really difficult. What we had possibly thought might be wanted, which was a performance by a group or groups of young people, probably wasn't really what the young people who were engaging with us, it wasn't what they wanted. They wanted something where they could contribute and they could have fun and that they could participate in, but actually that they didn't have to commit in the same way. How do we create something that allows them to engage with a kind of cultural community experience, but it doesn't rely on them saying, and I will promise to turn up every Tuesday evening for the rest of time until we've kind of got this performance. We finally actually managed to get into the groups and started working with them, and yeah, just the joy of actually getting back in a room and being in a workshop and doing what I suppose brought us into the project and what we really enjoy doing. Yeah, and the way that I think this sort of no pressure solution that we found seems to really work.
Just with all the groups that have been involved, it's been nice to see like lots of different ages. So like we've got primary school kids, and then through the youth groups we'll have like high schools covered, and then with the Adult Resource Centre we'll have adults that, even though we've got all these kind of different age groups, they're all people whose maybe voices aren't as heard as much in the town as well. It's really cool to kind of see the similarities and differences between all these different groups of people.
I think for an artist or a creative person who's perhaps not from an area, to walk into a space and to try and navigate both their own idea of what the place needs and what the actual community requires is a really difficult thing. With Castle Douglas, it's not an isolated challenge. Each place has had its own challenges, and each of the artists encountered various different problems or curves in the road along the way that they have had to sort of deal with.
Today we've been at the Arts in Sanker for an exhibition of new photographic work by the Sanker Camera Club, which is the club of young members that have been part of the What We Do Now project here in Sanker. Today's really been about showing their work and celebrating the fact that they've been working on this project for the past 6 months, and they've been working towards building their own portfolios of photographs, and we've also been working towards this exhibition as well. We've printed their digital photographs, which has been amazing to see it in a printed version, and we've also been working with them to curate this exhibition, and we've also been working with them to demonstrate their talents in photography. And it's just one milestone in a full program of events that we're doing over the course of this year.
Hi, I'm Bailey. Today we're doing an exhibition for photos we've taken over the past couple of months with a photography group run by Saskia and Colin. It's been really fun, gives me an opportunity to sort of go out and talk to people. It's the favourite part of the week. It's a good laugh for 2 hours. You get to do what I love to do. Before the workshop, I didn't really know that I loved to do photography. It's like it kind of like unlocked that it's something that makes me happy and probably do it's kind of my creative aspect. Since my family, they're all really creative, so I've always thought, oh, I've got to be good at something. And I found that photography was that. I'm proud of myself. Everybody else's work is really good, and like they all should be proud. It's good to see all the photos up, and our work over the past couple of months has really paid off. I'm hoping that I can continue to have more opportunities like this.
My name's Elliot, and today's been our first exhibition. First ever time, hopefully not the last. It feels quite special, to be honest. I've never seen my own work in that respect printed out, and the whole process has been amazing, and it's just satisfying to finally see it all come together.
We just wanted to, first of all, congratulate everyone. Well, Bailey and Holly and Hannah and Elliot and Tarian, who can't be here sadly, but it's really incredible the work you've produced in such a short period of time. So I hope you're like delighted with it, because we kind of hope, or we wished we had that talent when we were your age. So well done.
Yeah.
And like, hopefully you guys see yourself like how much you've developed in such a short period, and we really hope you continue with your photography and filmmaking. Well, we're not going to let you stop anyway.
I know, we're still powering on, like.
But
we've got a little congratulations present for all of you for putting on such a great exhibition.
this is a little portfolio which has your photographs in it, and hopefully you can add to it over the years.
There you go, Bailey.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Today was amazing. I don't think I've ever seen so many at an exhibition opening before. It's really put shame to even exhibition openings in Glasgow. It was so well attended, the place was packed, it was such a good atmosphere. Lots and lots of friends and family coming from all around Sanquhar and even further afield to celebrate and to support all the work and effort that they've put into this exhibition.
It's almost like a second family, to be honest. Like, everyone knows everyone really well. We all know what we do and don't like. We all know small, minute preferences and stuff. And it's just become closer and closer and closer. And now it's turned out to be one of the best groups I've ever been a part of, personally. I would really like to continue doing photography and videography. It was hard at first, however, they made it really easy and you understand it. And now it's as simple as, hey guys, can you set up the camera? Can we go out and take some photos? And 25 seconds later, the camera's set up and it's ready. So they've just taught us really well, and working with them has been an honour.
We're also on Thursday going to London with the young people to go see the Sony World Photography Awards, and that is just something that they're so super excited about, and it will be the first chance for them to go to a major city and to see a major photographic exhibition.
For something that could be read on a surface level fairly simple is actually proving to be extremely valuable, and the impact of it is quite extraordinary. Jim Buchanan has explored through various things such as willow weaving, the utilisation of play in terms of how people respond to space, and that interchange between those different things, how does that create a space more broadly?
Today has been a willow pod weaving workshop for local residents. This is using locally sourced willow to weave pod forms that could be play dens or sculptural items for the garden. And this is part of our ongoing consultation with local people about play opportunities in Langham. But it's also just been really nice to have mums, dads and the children here working. Also, what's really interesting is that local nurseries and the schools are very interested in developing their outdoor space. And from my experience with children's play, particularly early years, having cosy den-like spaces, little snugs, is just such a key, inviting play experience for young children. So now that we've actually started practical workshops, now we'll look at the other strands of our play development with parkour. And so we're hoping to make collaborations and connections with the wider community.
Today is probably our last pop-up of this series. Quite a few of the pop-up sessions have been quite manic because we have no idea how many people are going to turn up each time. You know, it's activities with kids and trying to draw adults into artistic activities, but they've been brilliant. And people keep coming back for more, bringing friends with them who wouldn't otherwise have come. So we're just kind of learning a lot about people who live here, making friends, gaining trust, and people's confidence is sort of building in us and in what they might do with us. And that all is going to add into when we have a more permanent community arts hub. We've been donated the porta cabin and we've been gifted the land for 6 months. Planning permission application is in. Yeah, we're just hoping, waiting. And meanwhile, we'll just keep plugging away at little ways of building stories and history.
It's a community that is well known for being a disadvantaged community, but is an incredibly proud community where amazing things happen. The engagement work we've done with that community is incredible through some of the pop-up tent work that they've done, and that's developed itself around the idea of a new community space, which is a sort of temporary, permanent space of a porta cabin run by the artists and the community for them to use as they want, as their space.
Both Hope and Rooney did some great work engaging people in having a conversation about what they would like to see happen in spaces and places in Stranraer. And they did that by creating this colouring book, which asked people to think about different places and imagine what they could be or what they would like to see there. So it's not just the George Hotel, lots of places in Stranraer. And I think that really captured people's imagination. Hope then took that another step further and developed this idea of a song for Stranraer and brought people in to do that with her.
Hope London is currently doing her recordings for the Stranraer song. So she's got a big selection of people who have been volunteering and been doing some great singing and percussion, and also some other instruments are being recorded today. So it's going really well, and everyone's having a good time, and that's the most important thing, of course. We also have the architectural firm. They're showing some really great new ideas about the new George Hotel and what might be inside it, really encouraging kind of new ideas, what they've been bringing and really showing, and it's been really fantastic to see them. Our Stranraer colouring book in the presentation for you there. To be a part of that kind of conversation is really important, and it's really lovely that they welcome those kind of ideas to be along with that.
What could happen here? Oh, what could happen here? What could happen here? Oh, what could happen here? Climb the hills, follow the way.
We are here at the Arc, which is the Adult Resource Centre in Castle Douglas, and this is our first session with the service users, and yeah, it's been brilliant. I suppose there's a lot of listening and trying to work out what excites people and what enthuses people, and you don't really know what will motivate them, and you don't, in a way, know what them on a good day or them having fun looks like. It's a really delicate, playful way of doing it, where you're trying to capture those moments when they're into it and excited and let them chill when they're not. To be doing work like this, and I suppose especially with service users of this nature who are, I suppose, the most vulnerable, they have been in such isolation for so long that, you know, we really do stand out as the crazy visitors to the centre because they haven't had the chance to do that. Seeing participants begin to play and begin to kind of laugh and finding those games that make all of that work is just, it's just wonderful. It's such a rewarding thing to do.
Today we have our celebration exhibition event with myself and Hope London. So this is the kind of celebration of what we've actually come up with, the confirmation of our project. And basically it's an exciting, uplifting event about what could happen next in Stranraer. We have videos, we have touch screens, looking at that, the archive there. We also have a particular coin that I've designed that can access it and go into that other world and have its own little personal portal about what could happen in Stranraer. I've done a song for Stranraer and also a music video, what accompanies that.
It's time to heave a great sigh of relief and enjoy sharing it with the people who came today. And loads of people came, and it was wonderful to see people who had actually worked on it here, and they got to see their names on the film credits, and they were videoing that. And they were really pleased to have taken part and just saying, oh gee, we wish we could have done more. Perhaps even more of that could occur in future. The catering was beautiful, and the big Stranraer coloring book cake, and the exhibition that Rory put together, which to me is museum quality, really. And everyone loved the song, and they said we should re-record it as a Christmas release because it's an earworm. And I thought, great, I wrote an earworm. But that part was such a joy to do, and especially because writing that song was based on what people told us. Each thing grew from the last thing. And then taking the results that we got back from the coloring book, people's further comments, all of those things fed into the song.
When we played Hope's song and showed the video and they walked into this space, you know, being in an environment which allows them to express that emotion, it's about that. It's really joyful to see them want this change.
People loved it. They were smiling. I'm just delighted we've come through this commission. And I think achieved what we set out to achieve, although you could always do more. There were moments when it definitely didn't seem guaranteed that it was all going to get done in time, but it has. I'm very grateful.
Angie has been organising this event along with other lift workers and volunteers. So there's bouncy castles, there's games, food. It feels like such an important event for the community because I bet there's a lot of kids here especially who don't get the opportunity to leave Lochside and go for trips or go to festivals. So this must be a really, really important day for them, I think. Today we're here with the tent that we've been doing the pop-ups in and some information boards with lots of photographs about what we've been doing. And we've also been working on some screen prints of portraits of folk that we've been working with. So that's the first time they've seen their portraits blown up into screen prints, which has been really nice to see. I know they looked really proud when they saw their portraits, so that was nice. And also, apart from that, today is just about telling people that we're still here and we're just keeping them updated about the art cabin and that the planning application's in.
We built this tent and a tatty oven and started doing pop-ups with arts projects and baked potatoes. And people gradually have got more and more involved and become friends and really into it and up for it. We've been doing interviews with people as well about what they want in the area, and some people have said they just want more of what we're doing. It's increased their networking with their neighbours, and you know, they talk to people in the street that they never knew before, having met them at the pop-ups. That's been really rewarding. You know, they're really happy. They're really happy with the community.
So we're here today for the last event in our programme of the first year of what we do now in Langham. It is a Pride event, and the idea behind the event is that the group that we've been working with at the studio really wanted to have a Pride event locally. They've expressed it to me a few times, so we thought we'd be able to get them connected in a bit better with the community. Obviously, one of the themes of ours is voice and ownership, so allowing them to connect with other people that are outspoken within the community and they can connect with, so that they have a wider support network within the community that isn't just us, and really reach out in that way. It's really gratifying to work with the young people, and I think that's been the big takeaway from this project for me, is that giving them something in a sense, because there wouldn't have been the facilities for them to be themselves otherwise.
I'm very optimistic that we're able to go for a phase 2, because in a way this first year has involved a lot of making contacts and working our way through those conversations and reframing questions of what the community are actually interested in. And it feels like we now actually have a really good plan.
We're planning on continuing the project. Obviously, it's not kind of confirmed or anything at the moment, but we're hoping to start partnering with Excel within Langham, which is a youth-based project, so that we can kind of leave what we start in their hands and they can manage it running forward, and we'll be housed in a building with them. And yeah, we're really starting to join forces with the local community in that sense, and local organisations that weren't necessarily the ones that we touched base with originally.
Sean and I can't keep up with demand. People, particularly young people, are so eager to do interesting stuff and find out more about the world. I think we have to start from that point with phase 2.
I think the working relationship with me and Jim has been really amazing, and we dropped on lucky to be commissioned with another artist that had so much in common, not just creatively, but in the way we approach things, our mentality towards working. So it's been really, really nice to be able to build that relationship with him and actually really get together and see what we can do as a duo.
Shan's awesome. She's been brilliant to work with. We quite quickly established that the thing that really motivates us both is our daily exercise regime. When you're coming at a new working collaboration and you come from very different fields in the arts, to have that very personal space and kind of passion, that's been a really useful kind of go-to. Yeah, it's been a real pleasure working with her, and look forward to phase 2.
So I guess this is our last big hoopla of the What We Do Now project. So we've been working with the primary schools doing lots of circus stuff. So we thought, how can we celebrate being in the primary schools, engaging all these young people? And we thought the summer holidays, perfect, just to invite them down, put out the circus kit, have the story wagon, teach your granny how to juggle. Yeah, this kind of the idea. It's been so cool seeing everyone and seeing so many faces. And all the kids wanting to show their parents what they've been learning at school, oh Mum, I can spin this plate now, look how cool I am. So it's been really cool. We've kind of said before these events, if we have 20 kids, it would be worth it. And we've had so much more than that. This is definitely the best part of the project, yeah. Being with the kids and seeing their fun and enthusiasm and them doing something with us rather than something being done to them is definitely the thing that we wanted to do. We didn't want to kind of show them and say, look how great we are as artists. We wanted them to come along and show us how cool they are as a community. Establishing a working relationship with each other and then with the community. It's been really cool, it's been really cool. Every kind of new thing that we've come across, I felt so supported, but also not smothered in any way. I could be creative and kind of bring my ideas to the table, and yeah, it's just been genuinely really nice.
What's interesting about the project in Cass Douglas is that that idea of circus is something that Cass Douglas Development Forum is really interested in exploring for the town, of whether or not that is something that people would like to do a lot more of.
The project changed from an initial kind of approach around performance into something that was more about the role of connection that could form the backbone of the town as an identity.
It's really interesting to look ahead and look back and be in this middle point, this transition point that we're in now. I feel that we've got an incredibly strong team across the What We Do Now project, both in the Stove and the place hubs and the artists. There's been a tremendous amount of commitment from most people to really come on this experimental journey with us, which is what We Do Now has been. It's an experiment of what does it mean to work over a long period of time with a community to try to connect with people who maybe don't usually connect with arts and creativity.
You've got this amazing background and knowledge and perspective throughout this entire year, which I think often we lose sight of the fact that that's quite an incredible achievement to bring this amount of people together. And also to be connected within a national network of this exploration. We're not isolated, we are connected. Everything that the Culture Collective has managed to provide for each of these projects across Scotland is quite remarkable. And also, it's an honest project. We don't know the answers. In fact, we shouldn't necessarily really know the answers because questions are much more empowering.
You now have artists who are talking excitedly about the sort of impact on particular individuals who are really growing and developing through the project, or visions that are coming out for potential projects into the future. That's been really, really pleasing, that idea of artists moving their practice into facilitating positive change for people and places. It's been really, really wonderful to see.
I think it's important to reference here that across each project, it was not to recognise deficiencies within places, it was to build from what was best about the place and to add value and more value to what was already happening, because there's remarkable work happening without this project, but if we can add value to it through the use of creativity and the use of practitioners in those fields, hand in hand with community and organisations and partners and funders across the board through a national network, the possibilities are pretty vast.
Thank you.